Thanks again for coming this evening, and welcome. My name is Ava Aviva Avnisan, and I'm going to be your MC for the evening. I use she, they pronouns. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and for supporting Palestine. For those of you who are, well, I'm gonna start by reading a land acknowledgement. Chicago is the traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Odawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes like the Miami, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Sac, and Fox also called this area home. Located at the intersection of several great waterways, the land naturally became a site of travel and healing for many tribes. American Indians continue to call this area home, and now Chicago is home to the 6th largest urban American Indian community that still practices their heritage, traditions, and care for the land and waterways. And this is adapted from the Justice Hotel project at 6018 North. For those of you who are joining us on Lumpen TV, welcome as well. This is a hybrid event, and we are here in person in Chicago at Co-Prosperity. A big thank you to Co-Prosperity for making this happen. And we're streaming on Lumpen TV, and we're also, the first act is part of the Electronic Literature Organization's annual conference. So hello, ELO, and thank you for joining us. For those who don't know, maybe the ELO audience, we've organized this as a 1 hour long event with artists, 4 acts. We're the first act, Judd and I, and everybody is donating their time to fundraise to support 2 charities doing work in Palestine, the Palestine Children's Relief Fund and Crips for eSIMs for Gaza. So on the screen is a QR code. If you would like to make a donation and haven't had an opportunity to do that yet, it would be greatly appreciated. 100% of the money you donate or spend in the space on drinks, on publications, is going to be given to charities. So I'm just going to read my bio and Judd's bio, and then Judd and I are going to start our performance. Always a little bit awkward to read your own bio, but it's okay. I'm Ava Aviva Avnisan. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist whose work is situated at the intersection of image, text, and code, using an array of emerging technologies, including 3D scanning, augmented and virtual reality, and generative AI. I work across installation, performance, photography, and video to create experiences that subvert dominant narratives through embodied encounters with language. I am an assistant professor at San Diego State University in the School of Art and Design. Judd Morrissey is a writer and code artist who creates poetic systems across a range of platforms incorporating electronic writing, internet art, live performance, and augmented reality. He's a recipient of awards including an Andy Warhol Foundation Arts Writers Grant, a Fulbright Scholars Award in Digital Culture, and a Mellon Foundation Collaborative Fellowship for Arts Practice and Scholarship. Judd is Associate Professor and Chair of the Art and Technology Sound Practices Department at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. He is the co-founder of the Performance and Technology Collective, Anatomical Theaters of Mixed Reality. Can do the iPad stream now. The day last, the connection lasting, the relation transformed since the last time we circumnavigated the island. When I fell in love with the way you made me feel like a woman. When you finally got to taste the boy whose ghostly body could still be made out of the Pacific's slanting light. Who was I then, going by yet another name, still in the early days of euphoria, my girlhood pink hot and molten, blazing its inevitable path down to the line where the sky meets the sea, adding acres to the maps that have yet to be remade, that we are remaking in these poems and songs. I hold me up to you so I can see my lonesomeness as in a mirror, and you, me, like a pose we found in an encyclopedia entry about nameless angels wrestling twice-named patriarchs, and which we imitate in our nakedness, as if to evidence the hard work of living out our twinning and twined love. On the long walk through the lava field, tracing cairned line segments among the ohia, you say the magma's hardened skin-like crust resembles cord. I add a silent H the way God did to Sarah's name, crafting a new progression of chords so that when we say goodbye, we leave with a new thing begun again. The day is last. The connection lasting. The relation transformed as informed under pressure. Staring at the edge of the water, long as I can remember, reckoning between the lines. I wish I could be the perfect daughter, where the equator meets the dateline. Every turn I take, every trail I track, every road leads back to the place I know I cannot go again. See the line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me, and no one knows how far it goes down. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know how far I'll go down. There is a zone in the Pacific where, due to the disputed location of a Jewish dateline, the time of the Sabbath, of rest, cannot be determined by the usual adjustments of global timekeeping. Let me reconnect the stream, maybe. Is this why it seems that the bodies who vanish there cannot be still enough for us to identify them, to let us unite them with their truer names? And yet tourists crossing the equator reenact centuries-old baptism charades, invoking the uncertainty of a protective armor to graduate from polywog to mono shellback. When we cross the line, it will bend us, because our bodies are becoming softer. The zone carries islands, including the lines, over the roving hotspot of a drifting plate at the rate of a fingernail's growth per annum. A longitudinal slice of rest with a W, as in wreckage, not radio, silence of our unrest. Stirring in broods under our heads, signaling a Y of inverted vulnerability. The radiometric dating of proximal terrains spans the years that surround my name. In heaps of molten language, noble formations of inner navigation, leading to a final determination of the nature of our error, a failure to adjust our charts to the loss
of a full day of time. O Nobo, daddy of the line, I'm gagging on salt water in my eye to see through my instrument the invisible red thread along the girthiest arc of your planetary body. In noble formations of inner error, heaps of molten language, O muse of transience, alluvial lava, plural, bella avalanche. Will you be straight for me, noble daddy of the line? It can be just for now, wait and see what'll come of all these radical changes. I'm nobody else's muse for now. Will you be bent for me even when your hips grow curves? Spade X and spade, the landscape has changed even since the recent map was made. The rocks are around our age. Are you such a god to me that I could lose myself to follow you? Will you place us for me being a
dividing yourself into yourself, summing a love that can't be proven. Will you quiver on that line? Will you be straight with me, or will you always be suspect? Towed by the lines, we play out the roles we thought we had learned to forget. Wrestling the old names from the new. Will you suss it out or in? Will you suss it in or out? Will you purify my doubt? Will you purify my doubt? Am I sis or am I son? Sussing it out, sussing it out. Will you be unprovable, unprovable, unprovable to me? Unprovable to me. Unprovable to me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, ELO. That's the end of our performance, and we're now going to transition to the next set. I think we are going to take a short break, so if you want to grab another drink, just do a couple minutes here to get the text set up, and then I will introduce Doug and Emrys. We're going to start back up in just a moment, so if you could find your seats again, that'd be great. Our next performance is created by Emrys Merlin Brandt and Doug Rosman. Emrys Merlin Brandt, they, is a transdisciplinary artist and writer based in Chicago. On the stolen land of the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Odawa peoples. An avid reader and Wikipedia editor, he holds deep love in learning and sharing knowledge. Enamored with the language of a document, his practice is based around representing data to poetically address technologies that deal in collection, identification, and modification. Doug Rosman is a Chicago-based artist and educator working with computation as an expressive medium and as a subject matter for critical engagement. Through speculative gestures and creative misuses of technology, his work explores agency and flexibility in relationships with technological systems. His work has been shown internationally, most recently at the Max Ernst Museum in Brühl, the Ming Contemporary Art Museum in Shanghai, and Ars Electronica in Linz. He is an assistant professor at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, where he teaches in the Art and Technology Sound Practices Department. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Doug and Emrys.
In the era of the digital responsive map, moments of low coverage and slow bandwidth reveal visual hierarchy and internal load logic. The visual representing root loads before the visual representing the surrounding landscape. This innocuous enough feature reveals the machinic logic behind spatial conception. The device does not need the surrounding environment when considering location. In other words, the map is a grid and location is a number. I notice this on my phone sometimes. The blue point locating me, my phone, in space, is always on a gridded sphere, regardless of bandwidth. Perhaps obvious, but often forgotten. The imagery of a map is not for the device, but for the users, as is the case with most visual interfaces. But a map functions differently than an interface. A map allows us to orient in space. A map attempts to make physical space readable. On a map, we locate ourselves, while on an interface, we are the agent locating. And what does it mean, then, when the map is incomplete and does not load? When it is not readable to the user, but only to the device? Further, the location that is me, home, self, is not me, but the device in my car, in my pocket, or in my hand. As conduit, the device locates an aspect of me by interpreting signs from the ether, which are satellites. And then there I am, a blue dot emerging on a beige, flat, and gridded landscape, which of course represents nothing, empty, blank. To be understood as a location is to be mapped incompletely. The scope of what is mapped is also what is known by the mapper. In cartographic terms, terra nullius, which is translated as nobody's land, is sometimes confused with terra incognita, which is translated as unknown land. In colonial history, this was used for malintent, from those who believe if they find something empty, it is theirs to fill. From people who believe, mistakenly, anything so dilatant as land, as space, can be owned. This mistaken belief, utilized for terrible plots, has begotten so much violence and tragedy that I do not know if we'll ever be able to recover. It is tragic still that nobody's land is not celebrated for its implicit quality. As nobody's land, it cannot be anybody's, and it should not be ever. It is too easy, and also inaccurate, to say that AI-generated images can be used to imagine a utopic future. But it's also negligent to misinterpret its output as purely a regurgitation of its data set. I must admit, I am seduced by the imagery of a map. Yet, what continues to weigh on me is the military history of the vertical perspective, which is canonically solidified into map-making tradition, which continues on the digital mobile devices that we carry. When you use AI to generate imagery, there is a fluidity between perspective and subject matter. The associations it draws are mostly unknown to us, but can be loosely understood by a human eye through general shapes and colors, at least in a diffusion model. To interpret is like wading through a thick atmosphere of numbers. If we generate maps that do not exist, they are not really maps, not of land nor of digital space. They're an expression of wandering. They are an interpretation between parties in the form of language and code. Locating oneself on a map is different than locating oneself within a latent space. The former, in broad terms, is a point on a surface. The latter is full of relational data. It centers, yet scatters, one's subjecthood. Recently, through another author, I've encountered Kierkegaard's philosophy on walking. The gesture intrinsic in walking, or perhaps more appropriately ambling, allows for digestion, consideration, and importantly, movement. A latent space is difficult to map. As such, there are significant accolades, both financial and clout-based, to claim understanding of that murky cloud of numbers. But to wander, amble, peruse, this is how we propose you must approach a latent space. To trust in the unknowability, not shirk from it, is the responsible approach to such a territory. to the heaviness. I haven't forgotten. In the most optimistic of terms, perhaps, using AI allows for imaginative possibilities to occur within the context of a past that is retained through its data set. In Kierkegaard's words, if one just keeps on walking, everything will be all right.
We're going to be projecting for Noah's. The optimal lighting for our next performer. It's okay? Okay. Noa Fields is a Chicago-based writer and curator. She's the author of E, Nightboat 2025, and With, Ghost City Press 2018. You can also find her writing in Tripwire, Anomaly, Zooglasia, Elderly, Tiger Quarterly, and 60 Inches. She curates public programs at the Poetry Foundation. Please join me in welcoming Noa up to the stage. Thank you.
I feel so far away. Hello, everyone. Feel free to come closer if you want. I'm going to read some poems from my book. I made a little zine of the poems that I'm going to read, so if it's helpful for you to follow along, feel free to grab a copy of it at the front. There's a QR code on the back that you can donate to Crips for eSIMs for Gaza, and otherwise feel free to just take one of these, and the poems will be projected on here as well. Yeah. So the first poem is Endocrinology. I'm hearing an echo. Is it possible to lower the reverb? Thank you. To hyphen form, my breaths proceed. Small tits as irises. I write, I revise my thesis. A vowel vibrates, off course. But hold on, no shuffling notes around. Who'll tell her? Doctor, I prescribe more iridescence. E's for misandry, has moon in it. Water too. Wild flowers cry hormones when eyed by strangers. Explain your spare parts. Part of me wonders if this word will let me in. Subvert dealt name. I'll haunt someone else. Consent to be ungovernable. So these poems that I'm reading are mishearings. It's kind of like playing a game of telephone with myself, with another poem, the life poems of a poet named Louis Zukofsky, who also loved to do homophonic translation, which is what it's called. But since I'm hard of hearing, I thought that that was a really appropriate form to explore in poetry. This one's called Ear Splitting. On earth, I must be loud. Pleasure dome, jaws, cavernous, ineffable scaling, in unfazed eccentricities. So I'll blurt a command of self-discovery, my non-compliant worldview a switchy fantasy, wounded animals wanting vice versa wrong directions. Oh, knockoff creators, no one forgives the pen's pantomime. Why not be braless and lawless? Unauthorized, don't bother slipping on the horizon. Named for ghosts we carry on, lip syncing. Lips sync, all I mean to say, stay close. Read between my lines. You up? Writing late? Seeking euphorias. Unrestrained. Swarm a season to renew one's cells, respelled to justify incidental selves. Far from earshot, while we denature scrappily, inchoate aspirations, virtue signal, depthless lore. Haven't you too whispered disclaimers whilst lust-stricken? Until grammar embraces delirious tonguelessness, I'll risk entering surrealisms, dangerous cunnilingus. Questing fingers rhyme, pile up gasps in no time. Then, do I bear my trust? Let you steer me? Spillage, madrigal, implies indocile witches. Blare unrepentant, oopsie daisy, you slope my synonym, our covenant of whatever you choose. Sleepover? If you want, sounds dreamy, baby. Pillow talk spills over to exclamatory moaning. Infinite know me. Last scene, romancing infrasonic, where words backflip, linger, fortune tell. Ease, song, hollers back, devours A's reverie, nourishing faggotry. So there's some drawings and photos and stuff accompanying my poems in this zine. The image that just scrolled past was me in the night boat tank top that says, "I'm gonna see you in my dreams, and there's nothing you can do about it." And I asked my friend recently if it's trans mask cultural appropriation to wear the night boat sex goblin t-shirt, tank top. Open question to the audience. This one is called Ellipsis. It's a double sonnet. I'm a little bit proud of that. That means it like rhymes and it's 2 14-line, you know the thing. Whores, let's bewilder, out-of-date verbs, willfully out of reign, out of care. Most days have no names, so we're argonauts. Blurred adverbs frenzy together, muffing ghosts. Forget haphazard, forget boyhood, forget stubbled logic. Tripping, and I'm homophonic, loudly trans up to no good. Unreliable narrator, I squirt an M dash. Compartmentalize while revisiting cut-ups. Fresh out of another relationship. It's clear I'm not cut out for courtship. You're cute, though. No doubt we're corresponding. I want to. Do I? Pursue something new. If I'm single too long, I get stuck in a loop. Honestly, I'm pretty shifty. Won't belong to anyone else. I need my autonomy. Come near, but don't latch on too strong or I'll be gone. Want to disappear with me just for tonight? Tie me up to the bedpost? Leave me delirious, then let me loose, my dear. Let ellipses surround us like hopeful ghosts. You know me, prone to mishear whatever I hear, whatever I fear, an enduring tentativeness that's hard to shake. That's my queer disorientation, words leaving wounds. Tell me it's okay. How recklessly my heart aches as I suffer for my art. Life's ekphrasis, no rehearsal, just throws us into places. Can we change roles, letters, verbs, switch worlds? The next one is going to be kind of hard to follow along on the screen as a heads up because it is vertical, orientation, fun. The lines were too long to fit on the page. It's called Ears Are an Erogenous Stone. Sedimented mirage body won't shut off. Up late thoughts, dismay seeping, mind altered, a weary mess. Danger. Groggy speech is promiscuous. Tonight, trans awaits your seance. Lust is restless and heightened, offering hounds feasts. I fear my heart, false starts. Delayed love letters, off hours, temperance angel, reckless puberties of our desolation, split infinitive, choreography, autobiography, can't avoid. Here, she called for alien catechesis, clamoring endorphins and pathogens. Deafen us, gods. Define us through the mystic Ouroboros. Help us survive auto-tuned overtones. Deus ex machinations, unreliably ourselves, demonstrative mouths ajar, rimming, library. All I want is to mishear your dead letters, thrashing, shimmying sin till sunrise when you come home, shimmering, my Kelida. I think I have two more. Yeah, two more. Thank you for listening. It's really an honor to be here. Entanglement. We cook up schemes, co-conspiring in anticipation of synthesis, laughing in step, enamored enough with each other to withstand missteps. For revolution's sake, we turn outward to community, an incomplete effort, I suppose, maintenance art of caring against antagonism's demagogy, mutual muse terrorism. Simply put, hyphenation demands we sync up collectively, an army of fools, co-parenting haphazard realities without precedent, with only our pervasive goodwill and curiosity. So we'll befriend our neighbors who've seen more than we could ever understand before we crashed in. Ask more of each other, as much as you can. Insist on resistance's imperative, and let it steadily alter us, permeating our relationship discussions and other mundane rituals, pull us together in urgency of presence and courage of mind. Here's to our entanglement, dear, with each other and the rest of the earth, abundance in our maximalist home, the pervert kitchen. And my last poem is an equinox ritual. Thank you so much. And if you like the zine, feel free to donate to Crips to eSIMs for Gaza. On the back is a little trans angel of vengeance that I drew. It's a self-portrait, in case you couldn't tell. Equinox. Melodize vernal equinox. Seasons. We're always morphing. Seepage. Defamiliarized arcana. rituals, gathering earth broken hearts, high maintenance placements. I'm thinking specifically of Cancer Moon. Raise your hand if you're a Cancer Moon. I thought so. It's high maintenance. The apartment's right this way. Outliers enthroned at the threshold of rumor. Weirdo interdependence. Unkempt lepidoptera live here. Future, in pantsy syllables, flaunt the will to lip sync, Wellbutrin, recitative. I can't read half of the words I write. I'm gonna have to practice more. Synesthesia's obscene boyfriend parade, neuroses on the loose. New roses? Forgive days grown elsewhere, knocking over coffee, all's ephemeral. That's the dogma of friendly death. Sounds pheromonal. Notoriously, we're hippy-dippy in the naughty clairvoyant loading zone. Words cross, dressed trashily, swear off hedged bets, throaty hadron collision, our prefigurative drafting. I dog-eared the page asking, have you assembled our anatomy yet? And yes, we are otherworldly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful reading, Noah. We're going to take another short break, and then I'm going to be screening a short 10-minute film as the final presentation for the evening. So get more drinks if you like. Use the restroom, which is back that way. We're going to get started in just a few. And after the film, we're going to hang out and chat informally, so stick around. All right, everybody, welcome back. Thank you for your patience. We're ready to screen my short film that I created in collaboration with Doug Rosman. It's called Specters of Home, Prologue. And it's a film about my childhood growing up in Jerusalem in the 1980s and the ways in which the entangled ways in which I became indoctrinated into the ideology of Zionism and the ideology of the gender binary. And the booklet publication that I'm selling to raise money for Palestine tonight is part of this project. It complements this project. So if you were wondering what that was all about, I'll maybe say a little bit more about it afterwards. But for now, if we could cut the lights, here is Specters of Home Prologue. The first image she told me about was of hands, freshly manicured with a color reminiscent of Palestine, leafing through the pages of the glossy coffee table book her father had photographed 20 years after the start of the occupation and months before the start of the First Intifada in 1987. She said that for her it was the image of love, and also that she had tried several times to link it with other images, but that it had never worked. She wrote me, One day I'll have to put it all alone at the beginning of a film with a long piece of black leader. If they don't see love in the picture, at least they'll see the black. She wrote, I don't expect you to understand, but to me you are at once brother, twin, husband, ancestor, antecedent, dead now in my present, but alive in my memories, and still alive, of course, in your version of now. Like yours, my father was a European American Jew, and my mother, an Arab-Israeli Jew whose parents fled Baghdad in 1950 in the wake of an intensifying decade of anti-Jewish violence. Like you, I was born in that ancient, contested city called Jerusalem and raised to revere the founding myths of the place they call Eretz Israel, the land of Israel. Like you, I was never taught about the Palestinian village called Lifta, located just 3 miles from where we frolicked, carefree as a child. She wrote, description of a dream, the feeling of dread, of a handheld camera moving hesitantly through a messy, poorly lit house. My father is there, stalking me, in his hand a gun, and I am sick with the certainty that his intent is to shoot, to kill. She wrote, but it's not uncommon for fathers to become the enemies of their daughters when their daughters refused any longer to play at being their sons, to answer to the dead names they shed like an old skin. She asked me what rights she had to an inheritance, familial, cultural, national, that she had been implicitly or explicitly disowned of. It was a double bind. The archives that she neither asked nor was given permission to enter were already curated by the so-called victors, replete with erasures and coverings over. And so she had no choice but to learn how to work with the pieces she could get her hands on. She told me that a map without borders was something she had always dreamed of. After all, in the white hands of the Europeans, drawing borders on maps was a tool as vital to the project of colonization as the musket and the smallpox-infected blanket. But in a global order in which being recognized as a people meant having recognized national borders, a borderless map was just one more form of erasure. She told me it reminded her of that myth she had been taught as a child. A land without a people for a people without a land. It was as much a lie as that toxic old tautology, boys will be boys. Not always, not always. She wrote, and so I set out to find the holes, all that had been so carefully erased, removed, and tucked away, all that had been repressed, the messy underside of the tapestry. She told me about going back after 10 years of shame and denial. The second passport neglected in a drawer somewhere, her family's story and her mother's shame, her many relatives whom she feared would never be able to accept the person she'd become, her Iraqi grandmother who would not be alive much longer, who was no longer alive by the time she finally returned. She told me of the terror she felt in the weeks leading up to her departure, and also of the conviction without which she would not have been able to stay the course. She had to find out, finally and for herself, what had really happened in 1948, who her people were, and all the crucial pieces that had been left out and covered over. She told me about Yaqub. Thank you so much. It's really special to be able to share this with you in the context of this LGBTQIA+ Solidarity Fundraiser for Palestine. I just want to say 2 words about the film and give a little bit of context for the publication. So I went back to Israel-Palestine in 2019 to start this project, and I was really interested in the history of this Palestinian village called Lifta, which you see an aerial shot of in the film. Lifta is unique because it's the only Palestinian village in Israel that was depopulated during the Nakba and not either destroyed or permanently repopulated by Jews after the Nakba of 1948. And it also happens to be a place where my great-grandparents, who were refugees from Iraq, were housed temporarily. The state of Israel had them live there temporarily. And when I was there in 2019, I had the privilege of spending an afternoon with Yaqub Odeh, who this film is dedicated to, along with my grandmother. And he was born in Lifta in 1940. And he told me his life story, including his personal firsthand account of the Nakba at age 8. And that's the publication that I have here is the edited transcript of the conversation with Yaqub. And so please take one. If you're here, you've already donated something, so feel free to donate more, but if not, please, I want his story to be out in the world, so please feel free to take one if you haven't already. And yeah, I want to do a big round of applause for all of our artists. Also for all of our wonderful tech support. And finally to CoPro and to our bartender for supporting us. Thanks again for coming. We're gonna hang out if you wanna chat about the work or just hang out and chat. We're gonna be here, so stick around. There's more drinks. There's more publications, so yeah, thanks again.